Hello, Wendy.
Hello, Rowena, across the miles. Wow, good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining me. What a privilege and an honor to be with you.
It's so wonderful to be with you. It really, really is such a joy.
So tell us, where are you today? Where are you calling us from?
Well, I live in Welland, which is a beautiful, really ancient little village. It's about half an hour north of London, due north on the train. Takes a sort of half an hour on the fast train. And we're in a farmhouse, an old farmhouse. So we're surrounded by fields. I can look outside and see horses grazing. And on the other side, I can see just fields where tractors are plowing. So it's beautiful in the country.
Well, Wendy, I have asked for you to join me just because I'm so in awe of everything you do. You are such an incredible person. You're such an incredible woman. I know that you're very proud of it. So I'll share with everyone that you are 71 years wise.
Yes, I am. I still can't believe it. The age kind of creeps up on you and takes you by surprise because I still feel so young inside. But I can see the texture of skin and I can look back and see all the wrinkles. My husband Roger used to say to me, you've got lots of wrinkles. And I'd say, Roger, they're laughter lines. And he'd say, no, nobody can laugh that much. That's really rude. Anyway.
The joy of the Lord definitely is your strength. And I know that you are such a strong woman. You have two children of your own. You have a son who lives in America, in San Francisco, and you have a daughter, Debbie, who lives here in Abu Dhabi. And spoiler alert, she happens to be one of my very best friends. Um,
She's beautiful, and I just love her so dearly. And of course, Jonathan too. And I have two stepdaughters as well, because my late husband, Debbie's dad, was quite a lot older than I was, and he had been married before. So when I met him, he had these two beautiful daughters, because his wife died. They were 8 years old and 12 years old when I met them. So they are grown up ladies now, but we are all so close. So we'd always talk about the two biggies and the two littlies. So Debbie is one of the littlies, who's your great friend and my beautiful daughter.
she really is. And she has given you the most beautiful twin granddaughters who are just delightful.
They're in the picture behind me. They're gorgeous.
There they are, Hannah and Serena. Beautiful. What a blessing. I know that you've been in the most extraordinary career in the early years. You were in Christian television for 20 years, and you had the opportunity to interview the most interesting and incredible Christian celebrities, really. So, can you tell us what that experience was like?
It was actually so exciting, Rowena, because it was in the early days of television in South Africa, which is where I'm from, although I'm living in England now. But I was born in Pretoria, grew up in South Africa, and I was privileged enough to be invited to join the SABC and to be on the first production course. So I went to learn about producing and directing. And then my boss, who was the head of religious programs, insisted that I did presenting as well in front of the camera. And I was so reluctant. I sent all my friends for auditions because I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I felt too shy. I'd much rather be behind directing and producing, but he kind of insisted that I did. So I had the experience of working both sides of the camera, producing and also presenting. And the presenting was actually wonderful because when I had the children, I could carry on that work as a freelance presenter. And you're right, I got to meet amazing people. I mean, every time Cliff Richard came out, this was in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, I interviewed him. So we really got to be really close and really good friends, and we'd have dinners together. Um, and Billy Graham, amazing man, this tall, distinguished man, who'd always stoop down and look with these bright electric blue eyes, and I'd feel he was boring into my soul, but so humble, so gracious. And I'd always find the truly great people with humble people, not the big celeb types. And I also met amazing people like Corrie Ten Boom. You talk about older ladies in the Lord. I mean, wow, she was amazing. And
Amazing.
Mother Teresa. I remember when we were actually planning the interview for Mother Teresa, Debbie's nursery school was chosen to go to the airport to meet and greet Mother Teresa. And I just thought, isn't this wonderful? I was the mum doing the television side, and this little girl goes in a bus, because I had to sign the consent, to go and meet her. And they phoned me just at the airport to say Debbie had been chosen to actually present the flowers to Mother Teresa as she arrived. So when I fetched Debbie from school that day, I said to her, Debbie, how was it? And I had then met Mother Teresa, and I'd seen her really rough hands. I'd looked at her toenails that were sort of really stumpy. I'd seen the cracks in her heels with these open sandals, this weathered face with myriads of wrinkles, and this dear little veil. And she was about 4'6", a little Albanian lady. So I had seen her and just seen what an amazing treasure she was for God. But I said to Debbie, that day, how did you find Mother Teresa? What was she like? Debbie, Mummy, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. That's all Debbie could say. And I thought, I had seen all the little bits and bobs, but Debbie looked into her heart. It's amazing, isn't it? That little girl.
It is amazing. I think for her to have an opportunity as a young girl, that definitely made such an impact in your life. I mean, I remember a story that I experienced. I went to Durban Girls High School in South Africa, and I was in the choir, and we had an opportunity to meet Nelson Mandela. We sang for his birthday at one of the conferences for the Methodist Church, and we had an opportunity to shake his hand. And I remember going up to him and thinking, this is a big man, and he has hair in his nose. He's human.
Yes, he is. He's one of the greats. I had the privilege of meeting him, and I also worked closely with Desmond Tutu. He asked me to form a trust for him. So I did have that honor, Rowena, of meeting the greats. Also Yonggi Cho, who at that time had the biggest church in the world. And I remember researching, before the interview, he had 74,000 members in Seoul, Korea. And they would break into these little cell groups and have services throughout the day. I mean, extraordinary. And Lauren Cunningham, who started Youth with a Mission, some really big people. But I think if I were to say to you, the greats that I met, it wasn't all big names, not by any means at all. Some of the people that touched me and moved me the deepest were people that nobody else had ever met, really didn't know. In the television world. And they were people like this one lady I met who worked in Kailicha in Cape Town in slum areas with gangs, and she would go into these very violent gang areas where there were knives and shooting and brutality as I just can't believe. But she would go there with her Bible, and I remember when I interviewed her, she had this really old Bible, and she would hold up the Bible and she said, I'm going in the name of Jesus, and she had a few teeth missing, and she was a rough and tough old dear, and she said, but I'm telling them about God's love, and that they just better stop fighting each other, and they were holding a Bible, and when I asked her, those were bullet holes that she'd been holding the Bible and had actually protected herself. Amazing saints of God that I met, and nobody even knew about her. And also another beautiful girl who was 16, Karen MacDonald, who I met in Durban. She had some little lump in her neck, and the scalpel slipped from the surgeon, and she was made a quadriplegic suddenly as a beautiful 16-year-old. So I met her in a wheelchair, but Rowena, what she shared with me about her faith and her love for the Lord, her forgiveness and her attitude to life, and the way she just loved life and loved the Lord. Wow. So I have met some really great people and very privileged to have done so. I also worked for Rhema Television in the early days. They asked me to set up, so I got to meet Kenneth Hagin and Gloria and Kenneth Copeland and Jerry Savelle and Benny Hinn and all of those people as well. Got to do interviews with them. But as I say, I've come away after 20 years with just this amazing repository of people who I've seen as role models in so many ways. And I just think, Lord, we are all on a journey. When we get to meet him face to face, we might be surprised who actually is the closest, because it's not about the way you speak, the way you look, the way you dress, but it's that heart intimacy with him. And so I have been privileged, but it's all teaching me to grow deeper and to love him more with greater passion.
How
Yes.
beautiful, Wendy. I'm so amazed that you had an opportunity to really meet so many people, and you're still so humble and just graceful, and it's just incredible. I know that you're very good friends and you have lots of memories with Lindy McCauley, and she's written an incredible book,
Yes.
absolutely beautiful. Debbie and I both have a copy, and we've both read that. So, yeah, how blessed that you have those
One of my
influences.
great close friends. In fact, she had Joshua just before I had Debbie. So we would have these amazing mother mornings, talking about motherhood. We would have our little babies all running around. And at that stage, we would be sort of breastfeeding and burping and changing nappies and sipping tea and having our conversations. And then on the other side, and then burping. And we would have these incredible times of fellowship and laughter and, wide-eyed saying we hadn't slept, but it's all part of just friendship and the joy of being a mom,
Yeah,
being real.
yeah,
So we could get all togged up in front of the cameras, but we could also just be very real moms
that's
wanting
right.
to do the best for our children.
And both of those children that you mentioned have both gone on into ministry today. I know Debbie has a platform where people can really share what God has laid on their heart, and I cannot wait to bring my dish to the table. And Lindy's son as well, he's got a ministry. So I think it's incredible. And one of the things Debbie did say is that growing up in the presence of God, surrounded by church life, has really made an impact and made it so comfortable for her to be in the presence of God. So that was wonderful. Well done.
But I never really got the family to watch the TV programs ever. We never actually switched them on, so we never got to see them. I think the children maybe knew about it from what other people were saying if we went shopping and they may have seen a program. Or I also did a radio pulpit weekly program, so people would hear me on what is called radio council. So I'd have lots of interviews. So wherever I went on holiday, I'd have my little tape recorder with me, always asking the Lord to bring people to me on the beach or in the supermarket or anywhere. So I was constantly looking out. So I had these antennas to pick up Christians wherever I went, always looking for a story. And my whole approach was never to get me on television, but it was always to make them shine, to bring their story out, to just ask the questions in a way that really brought the essence out of who they were. That's where the focus always, always was.
It's so good. And that's probably why, your kids are also very humble. They don't have this big head about, my mother's a big star or celebrity or anything like that.
I like
You
that.
know, Wendy, I have had the privilege of joining your journey of being a grandmother and watching how you enjoy life. You certainly know how to embrace nature, and you definitely know how to live life to the full. And I see you with your granddaughters. I mean, you guys are rolling down banks, climbing on trees. It's so amazing. Yes, I mean, you're not the typical granny. You are incredible. The way you have so much energy is wonderful. Where did you get this love for nature and this love for life and energy?
I've always had a great sense of energy, and I've also been blessed with a great sense of humor. So I don't mind doing the totally ridiculous things like climbing trees and rolling down hills with the children and getting covered with grass and running and jumping into haystacks and, spitting out hay. I don't mind that at all. And I actually love camping and I love roughing it. One of my great joys is standing under a waterfall. And when I first went hiking with Roger, my husband, he couldn't believe how I would come across a waterfall and just say to him, keep cavey, because I wanted to just take off the essentials and run and stand under the waterfall and just feel it. I think I just love to feel the tingle of life in my fingertips. I love to not only smell the roses, but lick the roses and just embrace life fully. and truly, I can say it's a combination of many things. I was at a very strict boarding school from when I was 7 years old, right up until 17. We were not allowed to climb trees. We had to be little ladies and all of that. And I found that so hard because I had all this energy wanting to get out and live life, but I had to just go by the bell. You know, when the bell rang, you up, make your bed, polish your shoes, do the fagging for the prefects, you know, go to meals, do your homework. So I had that military precision for so much of my life. And I think when I came out, I've just been making up for lost time and just enjoying it all. So that's part of it. And the other is when I was 21, I had the most extraordinary conversion experience of encountering the love of God just by myself in my room at university, just before my final exams. And I'd studied about French philosophy and nihilism and existentialism, and I'd studied about the greatest minds in English literature, you know, the brilliant writers. And I also did psychology as a major, so I had really gone into what made psychosis and the neurosis and what are people's greatest needs. And so I had all of this going through my mind, and I thought, you know, I can go through all of life asking people about truth or love or God or these concepts, but I'll never know until I actually ask him myself if he's real. And as I prayed that very first, very stumbling prayer, he answered me in the most beautiful, beautiful way that was totally life transforming. And as a 21-year-old, I started going to church for the first time, and going to Bible studies. And then I went on to study theology and landed up being a missionary in television. So it was life-changing, but he is the one who's given me that extra, I mean, he's given me the sparkle. You talk about sparkle. He has brought life and joy and meaning off the scale as I would never have dreamed possible. So I think it's all of those things that make me who I am today.
How incredible, Wendy. And I'm just so impressed at all the things that you've done. I know that you mentioned to me that your career has really taken a turn from the lights, camera, action to the community work that you've experienced. Do you perhaps want to tell us about that change and how that affected your life?
It is a very big change, Rowena, because if you think of all the glitter of television, where I had a couturier who would fit all these beautiful dresses, I had, of course, the false nails, I had a makeup artist and perfectly coiffured hair and all of that. I mean, if you see some of the pictures, it was really glamorous lifestyle. And my late husband, my wonderful John, just loved all the glitz and glamour of the sort of mink coats and diamonds and jewelry and all of that. And he was very blessed in business to be able to pull out all the stops. So that lifestyle and the way that I'm living now, of living in communities in grass huts where there's no toilet, going up to the Himalayas where you can't actually drive up to some of the distant communities that I work in the foothills of the Himalayas, right on the border of Tibet and Nepal, where there are no roads. You actually have to hike up the mountains. People who'd never seen a white woman, especially an older white woman, wonder why I'm doing development work and bringing in toilets and water systems. And it's because of the love of Jesus. And I can just share, it's his light that I want to bring to very dark places. So it's a total contrast. My wonderful John died in 1997, very tragically, very suddenly. And I find myself as a young widow with the 4 children. And my sister had died the year before and my mum the year after. So I had 3 wretched years of just having the nearest and dearest to me torn away. That our family is just so unbelievably close. And because of the love of the Lord, we could literally be like limpets on the rock.
Wow.
He is the rock in our lives. And I remember just cuddling with Debbie and Jonathan, who were really young then, and saying, you know, we are limpets on the rock. We're going to just cling to our rock. We're going to just hang in there with Jesus. And when the waves bash, those limpets stick all the more tightly. You cannot get them off, can you? They won't come off. So that's how we were. And with the older two as well, Jackie and Nikki, we've just got this amazing oneness as a family. So that's how I was for some years. And then I was offered, as a widow and a single mother, an amazing position with a top international IT company as corporate relations manager for South Africa. So I had to
Right.
quickly learn about computers, and Jonathan, who was only 9 or 10, taught me how to use a computer, how to open the jolly thing and how to type and switch on. And so suddenly I was in a pinstripe suit, I had my hair cut short, I got rid of the false nails and all the glam, and I was doing projects of bringing computers to different townships and as part of corporate relations. And the World Summit of Sustainable Development took place in Joburg in 2002, 10 years after Rio, and I headed up the sustainable development side of that for Hewlett Packard, who was the IT provider. So the thousands of computers that the delegates used at that summit, I then was in charge of getting them into rural communities and seeing how they could be embedded in their life to make an impact for good as part of our sort of corporate social responsibility. So that's where I started for the first time, driving into these remote areas and staying over in grass huts. And my friends in Sandton and Joburg thought I was mad because they said, what about the security? Do you know, I felt safer in those little rural areas because all the people really embraced me and knew I was doing good for them, but not in a condescending way. I could see the worth of those people, the strength, the value, and I have so much love and respect for them. So my Facebook page is full of people who live in those rural, deep rural areas who call me my Wenza because I'm like the mother Wendy to them, and I absolutely love them and respect them. And we put in food gardens and brick making machines and transform communities using technology. And after being a widow for nearly 10 years, I remarried, and that's why I'm in England, because Roger is English, my husband now, and I moved over to England. And that love and passion for doing that development work hasn't changed. So I'm still doing that in Himalayas and in Uganda. Long story.
So much can be said for people who have an opportunity and who have access to these kinds of resources, that we have a responsibility to reach out to the communities that need it, and we need to really share those resources. So I commend you for enjoying that and for investing your life in that. I know that
I
many
love
like
it.
forever.
I love it. There's no stopping me, Rowena. I honestly will be back in that peri-urban slum in a heartbeat. As soon as I'm allowed to travel again, I'll be back there helping in Uganda.
Wonderful. And you haven't stopped. You're in the UK now. And I've just seen that for the second time, you have abseiled down the St. Mary's Tower, the St. Mary's Church Tower,
Yes.
for the Spotlight on Africa
Yeah.
charity. So well done. That's incredible. Can you tell us what it's like?
That was quite an experience because it's 100 foot high. It's a beautiful church tower. And when you abseil, you normally, in a harness and you just sort of bounce off the side of a wall or a rock. But the church tower is ancient, so we had to just walk down as delicately as we could. So that was quite a challenge because this beautiful big clock face and the gargoyles and the stained glass windows. But we had a group I organized it because I just want to raise funds for feeding the children who are orphans and vulnerable children in Uganda. It's through no fault of their own. They were former child soldiers who ran away from the Lord's Resistance Army. It's a wonderful charity based in Harpenden, which is the next little village. So it's called Harpenden Spotlight on Africa, and it's working in Uganda. And we did it last year and we raised a lot of money. So I thought, well, let's have a go this year. We can still do it in the COVID lockdown way because we could wear masks before we went up. We didn't have to come down wearing masks because there was nobody up there that we were close to. And yeah, came down this church tower for the second time.
So for some of us who don't have the opportunity to abseil down the church tower, as if any of us did an amazing thing, how can we support and be helpful to the charity?
Well, spread the word about the charity. That would be wonderful. I can give you the link for that. It's just www.harpenden Spotlight on Africa, or HSOA.org, because it's a charity.uk. It's based in the UK, and we do wonderful projects. We've started a school for 1,000 children that we feed, and it's right in the middle of a slum. But these little ones are so bright that that slum school has become the sort of flagship school that all the celebrities are brought to in the district, because their results academically are so good, because they get food and they are healthy, and they play sport, and their soccer team and netball team have also reached the top of the district. They're winners. They've got the trophies. We've even started a scout group,
Wow.
which is just so amazing at this little slum. So we've got the school, we've got health visitors who are also just volunteers who live in the slum, but they are keen to learn about first aid and hygiene. And we've trained 250 community health promoters who go door to door. We've given them caps and t-shirts when they've qualified after training, and the people love them and respect them, and they each have 10 huts or houses they look after. And so we are cleaning up the debris, digging toilets, teaching people to wash their hands, not defecate next to their houses, all kinds of improvements health-wise. But the key thing is water. We've dug 35 boreholes, and since we have, all cholera has stopped, and dysentery. So it's amazing. We've cleaned it up. So you've got waters and health and education. And then the part that I'm most passionate about, that I run, is economic development. Because to break that cycle of poverty, people have to have skills, and they want to earn their own money. They don't want cup tans of charity. They want the dignity of actually doing it themselves. So I've started sewing projects. So we've now got sewing classes. We've had 3 sets of graduates. We've had carpentry, men and women learning how to do carpentry, brick making, fish farming, goat farming, and food gardens. And I've got many more still in my mind and heart to do. So it's a vibrant little community. It's wonderful.
Well, I'm so amazed at all the things that you're doing. I think it's wonderful. And I think God has given you such inspired ideas on how to let the people become independent and really generate their own income, which is something that is sustainable. So well done. I will definitely be participating and supporting this charity.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, bless
When
you.
you certainly have lived a fulfilled life. I wonder if we could just have some of your wisdom. You know, us as young mothers, we really are looking for mentors and people that we can look up to, positive role models. And I believe that you definitely are one of those mothers, one of those women that we can really learn so much from. So I wonder if you could tell us, what is your secret to being so happy, to flourishing, and having so much vitality in your life?
Without a doubt, the secret is a person, and that's Jesus Christ, who I met when I was 21. And through such a journey of a lot of heartaches, as you heard, and sufferings and challenges where I had to learn things in a hurry, it's been a journey that is extraordinary. Just an amazing adventure with the living God as my closest friend, the one I talk to and share my life with. But the amazing miracle is that he shares his life with me. So it's this divine exchange, which is so beautiful. So I could share so much of just the experiences, the answered prayers, the miracles I've experienced, the things I've seen that have just made my faith grow stronger and deeper and more exciting. But I suppose if I were to share anything, it would be from John chapter 15, which is one of my favorites. I keep finding new favorites, but this has been one of my favorites for many years, talking about the vine, Jesus saying, I'm the vine and you are the branches. And it's that connection of us actually being engrafted into him, and this life-giving sap flowing, the Holy Spirit through all that we do. And that's how the fruit, and that's the kind of fruit that the whole world wants. Love. My goodness, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And all the songs and movies and everything's about love. But here is the source of love. And we have this amazing access to him. in our lives if we just open ourselves to that life-giving sap. And so much is through John 15. But the part I love is verse 11, which Jesus says, I've told you these things that my joy and my delight may be in you, and that your joy and gladness may be complete, in full measure, to overflowing. And I really have experienced that even in the times of battering and wretchedness and heartache and lack, and there have been, that because I really want to put my roots into him and draw up that life-giving water, I know that I can be strong because I have him in me, and he never stops loving. No matter whether I mess up, no matter whether I disappoint him or do all sorts of things that I feel, gee, I didn't want to do that or think that, his love never fails. And I can always go back and just have that amazing oneness. So what I've tried to instill in my children and my grandchildren is just that, a realness, not a fake, a realness of true trust and dependence on him, and just experiencing his life, his quality of life, and that joy that absolutely bubbles up regardless of the circumstances. And that is just, it's not even a secret because I can sprout it wherever I want to, but that's the essence of it, Rowena. And it's beautiful and it's true.
I think that's amazing. You definitely bloom where you're planted. And I just wanted to read this for you. This comes from Debbie's group, Abide. One of the lovely ladies shared this, and I thought it was just so beautiful. It says, as we grow older, real beauty travels from the face to the heart. Appeal turns to charm, hurt to wisdom, and great moments to shared memories. The true beauty of life is not how happy you are now, but how happy others are because of you. And certainly, Wendy, you make...
That is so beautiful, isn't it? Yes, yes, yes.
This
Beautiful.
is you sparkle. You are a joy and just a beauty to everyone around you. As you walk through life blessing others, may you receive it 100-fold. We love you. You are loved. You are appreciated. You are valued. Beautiful Mum Wendy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been such a joy. Thank you. Thank you.
Bless you, Wendy. With that, goodbye.
Bless you. Bye-bye. Lots of love.